Namaste Gauravani Srimurtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaurakishoraya Sakshad Vairagyamurtaye Vipralambhara Samabodhe Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhaktivinodaya Sakshid Anandanamine Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupanugarayate Gaura Virabhava Bhomestvam Nirdesa Sachana Priya Vaishnava Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha Panca-tattva Mantra Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktishaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Suratau Pangor Mama Mandar Matirpati Mat Sarvaswa Padambo Jao Radha Madana Mohanao Divya Vrindaranya Kalpadrumatha Srimad Ratnagara Sinhasanastao Srimad Radha Shila Govinda Deva Shkali Bisi Yamanao Smarami Shriman Rasarasaram Divam Shiva Tatastita Karshan Venus Vanirgopir Gopinatha Shriyesuna 18 Thakur Goreyaki Kariyachina Atmasad 18 Iracharan Vandon Tine Morana Tapata Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vande Nandravajastrinam Padurinum Abhishnasha Yasam Hari Kato Gitam Nati Vanatrayam Antayam Adra Abala Haridasya Varyo Yadrama Krishna Charana Sparasha Pramodaha Manam Tanoti Sahago Ganayostayor Yat Paniya Suyavasakandana Kandamulai Vrindayai Tulasi Devyai Priyayai Keshavasya Vishnu Bhakti Prali Devi Satyapatyai Namo Namaha Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha Prahlada Desha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata Abhyutanam Dharmasya Tadatma Sujamyaham Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chatuskritam Dharma Samstapanarthaya Sampalvami Geye Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto Majaji Mam Namaskuru Mami Vaishyasi Yukvaivam Atmanamat Parayanaha Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tam Sarvapapilyo Mukshayishami Mashuchaha Shushusho Sharatanasya Vasudeva Katarji Syanmahat Sevaya Vibra Punyatirta Shivana Shinvatam Sukata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantak Stohya Patrani Vidhunoti Suritsata Nashta Prayeshu Patreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Yuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki Rajas Tamubhava Kamalobha Dayaschaye Cheta Iter Anavitham Stitam Sattve Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavad-tattva mukta sangasya jayate. Vidyate hridaya grantish chidyante sarva samshaya shiyante chasya karmani krishna evatmanishvare. Malihai karishe pijaropan shravana kirtana jale kare shechan. Tahan vistarita hoy pali prema pal ihan mali sheche nitya shravana jal. Ragya vidya nija bhakti yoga shiksharta mekam purusha purana Shri Krishna Caitanya Sharira Dhari Kripam Buddhira Yastamaham Prapadye Kalam Nashtam Bhakti Yogam Nijanja Pradush Kartum Krishna Caitanya Nama Avirabhutas Tasya Padara Vinde Gatam Gatam Liyatam Chitta Bringa Ajanulambita Bhujao Kanakavadato Samkirtanai Kapitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishwambaro Dvijavaro Jugatarma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karanavataro Chaitanya Krishna Chaitanya Gauranga Dvijanayaka Yatinam Dandinam Shaiva Nyasinam Shasharomani Raktambara Dara Shriman Navadvipa Sudakara Prema Bhakti Pradaschaiva Shri Shachinandanastata Nityananda Vadhur Tentur Vasudha Rana Vallava Janadi Jivatapati Krishna Prema Pradaprabhu Padmavati Sutta Shriman Shachinandana Purvaja Bhavon Mato Jagatrata Raktagora Kalevara Matsamo Nasti Papa Manaparadi Chakashana Parihare Pilajami Kukuve Purushottama Vivatinam Yata Yuni Yunam Cha Yuvatau Yata Mano Piramate Tadvan Mano Niramatam Tvayi Pumaus Kalita Padanam Pumir Evam Balambanam Tvai Jata Paradhanam Tvai Vasharanam Prabho Govinda Vallabhe Radhe Prarte Tvamaham Sada Tvadiyam Iti Janatu Govindo Mam Tvaya Saha Radhe Vrindavanadi She Karunamrta Vahani Kripaya Nichapadamcha Dasyam Mayam Pradiyata Nitai Namineche Namirhate Shadamulyenam Dite Chere Namirhate Shadamulyenam Nitai Namineche Namirhate Shadamulyenam Dite Chere Namineche Namirhate Shadamulyenam Dite Chere Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Rama Rama Hare Hare. And now we're reading from the Śrī Caitanya-caritāmrta. Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Tara Jugavtar Jani Garga Mahashai Krishna Ranam. Jugavatar Jani Garga Mahashai Krishna Nama Karane Kari Jache Nirnai. Knowing him, Lord Chaitanya, to be the incarnation for Kali Yuga, Garga Muni, during the naming ceremony of Krishna, predicted his appearance. Asan Varnas Trayo Yasya Grinato nu Yugam Tanu Shuklo Raktas Tata Pita Idanim Krishna Tam Gata. This boy, Krishna, has three other colors: white, red, and yellow, as he appears in different ages. Now he has appeared in a transcendental blackish color. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:8-13. Shukla Rakta Pita Varna 18 Duti Satya Treta Kale Kale Dharina Shipati. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. White, red, and yellow. These are the three bodily lusters that the Lord, the husband of the goddess of fortune, assumes in the ages of Satya, Treta, and Kali, respectively. Danindwapare deho hoila Krishna varna Ishab shatragama punaira marma. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Now in the Dwapara Yuga, the Lord has descended in a blackish hue. This is the essence of the statements in the Puranas and other Vedic literatures with reference to the context. Dwapare Bhagavan Shama Pita Vasa Nijayuda Śrī Vaisesika Dasa Lakshaner Upalakshita. Everybody. Dwapare Bhagavan Shama Pita Vasa Nijayuda Śrī Vaisesika Kaischa Lakshanar Upalakshitaha. In the Dwapara Yuga, the personality of Godhead appears in a blackish hue. He is dressed in yellow, he holds his own weapons, and he is decorated with the Kaustuba jewel and marks of Srivatsa. This is how his symptoms are described. Purport. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.27, spoken by Saint Karabhajana, one of the 9 royal mystics who explained to King Nimi the different features of the Lord in different ages. Kali Juga Juga Dharma Namera Prachar Tati Lagi Pita Varna Caitanya-avatar. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. The religious practice for the age of Kali is to broadcast the glories of the holy name. Only for this purpose has the Lord in a yellow color descended as Lord Chaitanya. Purport: in this age of Kali, the practical system of religion for everyone is the chanting of the name of Godhead. This was introduced in this age by Lord Chaitanya. Bhakti Yoga actually begins with the chanting of the holy name, as confirmed by Madhvacharya in his commentary on the Mundaka Upanishad. He quotes this verse from the Narayana Samhita. Dwapariyar Janer Vishnu Pancharatrais tu Kevalai Kalo tu Nama Matrena Pujite Bhagavan Hari. In the Dwapara Yuga, people should worship Lord Vishnu only by the regulative principles of their Narada Pancharatra and other such authorized books. In the age of Kali, however, people should simply chant the holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Hare Krishna mantra is especially mentioned in many Upanishads, such as the Kali Santarana Upanishad, where it is said, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. Iti Shodashakam Nam Kali Kalmusha Nashanam Nata Paratarupaya Sarva Vedishu Drishyate. After searching through all the Vedic literature, one cannot find a method of religion more sublime for this age than the chanting of Hare Krishna. Taptahima Samakanti Prakanda Sharira Nava Megajini Kanta Dwani Yekambir. Everybody, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The luster of his expansive body resembles molten gold. The deep sound of his voice conquers the thundering of newly assembled clouds. Dargya vistare jay apanara hatta chari hasta hoya mahapusha vikyata. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. One who measures 4 cubits in height and in breadth by his own hand is celebrated as a great personality. Nairogra Parimandala Hoy Tarnam Nairogra Parimandala Tanu Chaitanya Gunadam. Such a person is called Nyagroda Parimandala. Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who personifies all good qualities, has the body of a Nyagroda Parimandala. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. No one other than the Supreme Lord himself, who has engaged the conditioned souls by his own illusory energy, can possess these bodily features. These features certainly indicate an incarnation of Vishnu and no one else. Ajanulambita Bhuja Kamala Lochana Tilapula Jini Nasa Sambhushum Vandana. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. His arms are long enough to reach his knees. His eyes are just like lotus flowers. His nose is like a sesame flower, and his face is as beautiful as the moon. Shanta Dasa Krishna Bhakta Nishta Parayan Bhakta Vatsala Shushila Sarva Bhutesam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. He is peaceful, self-controlled, and fully devoted to the transcendental service of Lord Sri Krishna. He is affectionate toward his devotees, he is gentle, and he is equally disposed toward all living beings. Chandanera Angadaba Chanandera Angabala Chandara Bhushana Nritakali Parikarin Krishna Sankirtana. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. He is decorated with sandalwood bangles and armlets and anointed with the pulp of sandalwood. He especially wears these decorations to dance in Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Esha Guna Loy Munye Vishpayana Sahasraname Koila Taranama Ganana. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Recording all these qualities of Lord Chaitanya, the sage Vaishvampayana included his name in the Vishnu Sahasranam. Dui Lila Chaitanya Adi Arshesh Dui Lila Chari Chari Nama Vishesh. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. The pastimes of Lord Chaitanya have two divisions: the early pastimes, Adi Lila, and the later pastimes, Shesha Lila. He has 4 names in each of these 2 Leelas. Prikishori, chant this verse, please. In his early pastimes, he appears as a householder with a golden complexion. His limbs are beautiful, and his body, smeared with the pulp of sandalwood, seems like molten gold. In his later pastimes, he accepts the sannyas order, and he is equipoised and peaceful. He is the highest abode of peace and devotion, for he silences the impersonalist non-devotees. Purport. This is a verse for the Mahabharata Dan Dharma Vishnu Sahasranam Stotra. It is commentary on the Vishnu Sahasranam called Namartha Sudha. Shri Baladev Vidyabhushana, commenting upon this verse, asserts that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to the evidence of the Upanishads. He explains that Suvarnavarna means a golden complexion. He also quotes the Vedic injunction, Yada Pashyate Rukmavarnam Kartaramisham Purusham Brahmayonim, from the Mundaka Upanishad 3.1.3. Rukmavarnam Kartaramisham refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead as having a complexion, the color of molten gold. Purusha means the Supreme Lord, and Brahmayonim indicates that he is also the Supreme Brahman. This evidence too proves that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Another meaning of the description of the Lord as having a golden hue is that Lord Chaitanya's personality is as fascinating as gold is attractive. Srila Baladeva Vibhushan has explained that the word Varanga means exquisitely beautiful. Lord Chaitanya accepted sannyas, leaving aside his householder life to preach his mission. He has equanimity in different senses. First, he describes the confidential truth of the personality of Godhead, and second, he satisfies everyone by knowledge and attachment to Krishna. He is peaceful because he renounces all topics not related to the service of Krishna. Srila Baladeva Vibhushan has explained that the word Nishtha indicates his being rigidly fixed in chanting the holy name of Sri Krishna. Lord Chaitanya subdued all disturbing opponents of devotional service, especially the monists, who are actually averse to the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. Kari Bhagavate Kare Barbar Kali Juga Dharma Nam Sankirtan Sar Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is repeatedly and clearly said that the essence of religion in the age of Kali is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Pre-Kishori. Para Urisha Stuvanti Jagadishwaram Nana Tantra Vidhanina Kalavapi Yatashrinu. O King, in this way people in Dwapara Yuga worship the Lord of the universe. In Kali Yuga, they also worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the regulations of the revealed scriptures. Kindly now hear of that from me. Purport. This verse is spoken by Saint Karabhajana in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.31. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangashtra Parshadam Jagnai Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Hi Sumedasa. Everybody. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sambhuvangashtra Parshadam Jaganai Sankirtana Praye Yajanti Sumedasa. Krishna Varnam, repeating the syllables Krishna. Tusha, with a luster. Akrishnam, not black, golden. Saanga, along with associates. Upanga, servitors. Astra, weapons. Parshadam, confidential companions. Jagnai, by sacrifice. Sankirtana Praye, constant, consisting chiefly of congregational chanting. Yajanti, they worship. He, certainly, Sumedasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. This text is from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32. Srila Jiva Goswami has explained this verse in his commentary on the Bhagavatam, known as Krama Sandarbha, wherein he says that Lord Krishna also appears with a golden complexion. That golden Lord Krishna is Lord Chaitanya, who is worshipped by intelligent men in this age. That is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam by Gargamuni, who said that although the child Krishna was blackish, he also appears in 3 other colors, red, white, and yellow. He exhibited his white and red complexions in the Satya and Treta ages respectively. He did not exhibit the remaining color, yellow gold, until he appeared as Lord Chaitanya, who is known as Gaurahari. Srila Jiva Goswami explains that Krishna Varna means Sri Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna Varna and Krishna Chaitanya are equivalent. The name Krishna appears with both Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Krishna. Lord Śrī Caitanya-Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he always engages in describing Krishna and thus enjoys transcendental bliss by chanting and remembering his name and form. Lord Krishna himself appears as Lord Chaitanya to preach the highest gospel. Lord Chaitanya always chants the holy name of Krishna and describes it also. And because he is Krishna himself, whoever meets him will automatically chant the holy name of Krishna and later describe it to others. He injects one with transcendental Krishna consciousness, which merges the chanter in transcendental bliss. In all respects, therefore, he appears before everyone as Krishna, either by personality or by sound. Simply by seeing Lord Chaitanya, one at once remembers Lord Krishna. One may therefore accept him as Vishnu Tattva. In other words, Lord Chaitanya is Lord Krishna himself. Sango Pangashtra Parshadam further indicates that Lord Chaitanya is Lord Krishna. His body is always decorated with ornaments of sandalwood and sandalwood paste. By his super excellent beauty, he subdues all the people of the age. In other descents, the Lord sometimes used weapons to defeat the demoniac. But in this age, the Lord subdues them all with his all-attractive figure as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In other descents, the Lord sometimes used weapons to defeat the demoniac. But in this age, the Lord subdues them with his all-attractive figure as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Jiva Goswami explains that his beauty is his astra, or weapon, to subdue the demons. Because he is all-attractive, it is to be understood that all the demigods lived with him as his companions. His acts were uncommon, and his associates wonderful. When he propagated the Sankirtan movement, he attracted many great scholars and acharyas, especially in Bengal and Orissa. Lord Chaitanya is always accompanied by his best associates like Lord Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhara, and Srivas. Srila Jiva Goswami cites a verse from the Vedic literature which says that there is no necessity of performing sacrificial demonstrations or ceremonial functions. He comments that instead of engaging in such external pompous exhibitions, all people, regardless of caste, color, or creed, can assemble together and chant Hare Krishna to worship Lord Chaitanya. Krishna Varnam Tosha Krishnam indicates that prominence should be given to the name of Krishna. Lord Chaitanya taught Krishna consciousness and chanted the name of Krishna. Therefore, to worship Lord Chaitanya, everyone should together chant the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. To propagate worship in churches, temples, or mosques is not possible, because people have lost interest in that. But anywhere and everywhere, people can chant Hare Krishna. Thus, worshiping Lord Chaitanya, they can perform the highest activity and fulfill the highest religious purpose of satisfying the Supreme Lord. Srila Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, a famous disciple of Lord Chaitanya, said, "The principle of transcendental devotional service having been lost, Sri Krishna Chaitanya has appeared in order to deliver again the process of devotion. He is so kind that he is distributing love of Krishna. Everyone should be attracted more and more to his lotus feet, as humming bees are attracted to a lotus flower. Prabhupada tune. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo bolo. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama Rama Hare Gaur Premanande Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Jai Śrī Caitanya Jai Nityananda Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhaktivinoda Narayana Gari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Narayana Gari Nitai Niche Niche Gaire Nadia Godrume Nityananda Mahajan Nanda Mahajan Gaur Premanande Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Ramananda Roy, according to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, acted as miners, and they excavated the nectar of Krishna Katha. So we're going to try that also. Today happens to be 10:17, and I see that there's already some reflections, questions and a reflection. The first one is from Sringara Ras Devi Dasi, who says, my question is that it is very hard for me to have a service toward family members, even though they are devotees. See if I'm seeing the whole thing here. Okay. My question is that it is very hard for me to have an attitude of service towards family members, even though they are devotees. How can I make this shift in my consciousness from considering many of my responsibilities as a burden to an attitude of service in relation to Krishna? Would you kindly guide me? So in the Śrī Upanishad, it is said, Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani vanupashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tato na vidjugupsate, that you should learn to see all living entities as pure spiritual parts and parcels of the Lord. So if you can't realize it, then just try to follow in the footsteps of those who have realized it, anupashyati, and see that way. So if you have relatives around you who are devotees, first and foremost, see them as devotees and act like that towards them as devotees. That's why there's etiquette. Etiquette is a kind of protection in society so that we don't go over the guardrail. There are guardrails, so we stay in our lane and we don't unnecessarily succumb to tendencies of becoming overfamiliar and then envious of other people. So we keep the etiquette. So when you're dealing with devotees, whether they're family members or others, try practicing etiquette. And one of the ways you can practice etiquette is in the way you address others. Use a respectful term to refer to your god brothers, god sisters. In fact, Prabhupada mentions within the Srimad Bhagavatam that when devotees refer to one another, they say Prabhu, because then you say, oh, you're my master. And we should think like that I'm your servant. So you can try that. Just test it out and see how it works. Śrī Madhava Mahotsava says, I really liked the verses glorifying the congregational chanting of the holy name. Well, you would, Śrī Madhava Mahotsava, because that's your life and soul. We find that very often people who visibly show appreciation will almost always take a small book or pamphlets, and some are very curious that they will immediately begin reading amplifies the vibration. So it's so satisfying to see them read, carry the book, dance. Nice reflection, yes. This is where real happiness comes from. Participating in the Sankirtan movement and finding every single way to amplify the sound vibration of the Hare Krishna mantra. And that's what books are. They're an amplification because they're the Brihat Madanga. So you have Kirtan, and then from there the books go out and people start to read them. And then the devotees who are distributing feel ananda. That's the way to feel happiness in life, is to participate in the Sankirtan movement. Everything else is just maintenance to get to the point where you can participate in the Sankirtan movement. Don't think maintenance is happiness in life. It's not. Only engagement in direct devotional service is happiness. Vaikuntha Nayaka Prabhu, all the way from Mysore, there was a sentence in the purport which said that Mahaprabhu was peaceful because he did not associate with any topics not related to Krishna. I thought this is such a wonderful, succinct formula for peace. Let's look at first canto, 5th chapter, I think it's 12th verse. Tatonyata kinchana yadvavakshata pratagdrichashtat kritan rupanama bi. Can we see that verse? Tatonyata kinchana yadvavakshata pratagdrichashtat kritan rupanama bi. Nakarichit kapi chadushtita matir labhet avata hatanar ivaspadam. Whatever you desire to describe that is separate in vision from the Lord simply reacts with different forms, names, and results to agitate the mind as the wind agitates a boat which has no resting place. Purport. Srila Vyasadeva is the editor of all descriptions of Vedic literatures, and thus he has described transcendental realization in different ways, namely by fruitive activities, speculative knowledge, mystic power, and devotional service. Besides that, in his various Puranas, he has recommended the worship of so many demigods in different forms and names. The result is that people in general are puzzled how to fix their minds in the service of the Lord. They are always disturbed about finding the real path of self-realization. Srila Narada-dev is stressing this particular defect in the Vedic literatures compiled by Vyasadeva, and thus he is trying to emphasize describing everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and no one else. In fact, there is nothing existent except the Lord. The Lord is manifested in different expansions. He is the root of the complete tree. He is the stomach of the complete body. Pouring water on the root is the right process to water the tree as much as feeding the stomach supplies energy to all parts of the body. Therefore, Srila Vyasadeva should not have compiled any Puranas other than the Bhagavad Purana, because A slight deviation from that may create havoc for self-realization. If a slight deviation can create such havoc, then what to speak of deliberate expansion of the ideas separate from the absolute truth personality of Godhead? The most effective part of worshiping demigods is that it creates a definite conception of pantheism, ending disastrously in many religious sects, detrimental to the progress of the principles of Bhagavatam, which alone can give the accurate direction for self-realization in eternal relation with the personality of Godhead by devotional service in transcendental love. The example of the boat disturbed by whirling wind is suitable in this respect. The diverted mind of the pantheist can never reach the perfection of self-realization due to the disturbed condition of the selection of objects. Isn't that beautiful phraseology? Due to the disturbed condition of the selection of objects. So, just as Vaikuntha Nayaka has stated here, there is a sentence in the purport which said that Mahaprabhu was peaceful because he did not associate with any topics not related to Krishna. I thought this is such a wonderful, succinct formula for peace. And this verse from Naradadev to Vyasadeva saying, Tatonyata kinchana yadvavakshita pratag drishas. Tatag drishas means anything that's separate in vision. Drishas means vision. Pratag means separate. It's cut off from the vision of the Lord. So you're not connecting it back. If you bring up some topic and you can't connect it back to the Supreme Personality of God, it will disturb everybody. There's no connection whatsoever. Ratirtam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tad vidyat atmano mahayam yata bhaso yatatamaha. This verse in the Bhagavatam by Krishna says, it's from the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. You know that Lord Krishna spoke to Brahmaji in the beginning of the creation, and he gave him these 4 nutshell verses of the Bhagavatam. When one of them says, Ratertam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tad vidyadatmano mahayam yataphaso yatatamaha. Whatever you desire to describe, that this verse also tells what Maya is, and that is, Maya means when you see something, you describe something that is separate from the Lord. There is nothing separate from the Lord. So if you try to make it separate, or you separate it by your consciousness, then that's called Maya, or illusion. And the entire civilization has subscribed to this idea that let's separate everything from God. And therefore, there's no resting place, and there's the pall of illusion, which has drawn over the entire civilization for lack of connection to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This concept is also mentioned by Havi Yogendra when he says, Bhayam dvitiya abhinibesha tasyad ishad apetasya viparyayo smriti. And that is, when you see something separate from the Lord, then you become full of fear. And he says, you develop a mood of competition with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no competition against Krishna. We're part and parcel of Krishna. We're meant to cooperate, not to compete. And thereafter, he says that you should solve this problem by being one-pointed in your attention in worshiping the Lord. Be one-pointed in your attention to worship the Lord. Bhayam dvitiya abhinibesha tasyad ishad apetasya viparyayo smriti tanmaya tam buddha abhajatam bhaktyayika yesham guru devatatma. You should put your full attention into worshiping Krishna, accept Guru and as representative, and then find some service and then serve Krishna one-pointedly. This is also advice given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 2nd chapter. Tasmad ekena manasa bhagavan sattvatam bhati shrotavya kirtitavyascha dhyeya pujasta nityada. And that is, with one pointed attention, he says, Sutta Goswami. Tasmad, therefore, tasmad ekena manasa. Your mind should be one-pointed, fixed on one thing. Ekena manasa Bhagavan Sattvatambati. Fix it on Bhagavan, who's the protector of the devotees. And how do you do that? Shrotavya kirtitavyascha dhyeya pujas chanityara. These various ways in which you can fix your mind directly on the Lord. They all have to do with getting your bhajan on. So Shrotavya, you should hear about him. Shrotavya kirtitavyascha, you should sing about him. Dhyeya, you should meditate on him. Pujas, do puja to worship the Lord. Chanityara, when should you do it? Always. And always means at least every day. You have other things to do, fine, but at least finish all these things before you do everything else, or make sure you work them in every day. If you miss a day, you're going to be adrift and in trouble. Look at this. We have so many nice points here. Look, Shama Rupa Prabhu, Jai. Thank you for the wonderful recitation of CC and amazing kirtan. While chanting, we beg for the opportunity for service. Would you please explain how the chanting of the Mahamantra itself is a seva, nam seva? Thank you. So, Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchite. It's the process of Krishna consciousness to use the senses in the service of the master of the senses. So when we use our tongue and ears to glorify Krishna, we're doubling back, we're using them to glorify Krishna, which is a service. And that's why it satisfies the senses, it transcendentalizes the senses, it's a service. Not only that, Haridas Thakur explains it that when you chant Hare Krishna, you should do so loudly. And the reason that's a service is because other living entities hear it. And when they hear it, then Yirabaso Pyudyan Kavalita Bhava Dvanta Vibhavo Drisham Tatvandanam Api Dishati Bhakti Pranayinim. Just by hearing the vibration, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The little jiva who's lost his way in the mire of material illusion then awakens to bhakti and thinks, oh, I should be a Hare Krishna. Just by hearing jing, 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 Hare Krishna, and it's like, oh, I think I'm a devotee too. How does that happen? By hearing directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of sound. Iti murtyabhidanena mantra murtim amurtikam yajite yagya purusham sasagyag darshana puman. Narada said, this is the best way to see the Lord face to face is through the mantra. And when other people hear it from your chanting, then they awaken, and it's Krishna's intention that all living beings be awakened and come back to his service. So that's a service also by chanting Hare Krishna. What to speak of awakening yourself so that you can be more dedicated always. Thanks, Shamarupa Prabhu. Bhakti Yogesh, a power phrase. Engagement in direct devotional service is happiness. That's a fact. Distraction is torture. Focus is nectar. What to speak is if you focus on serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you're perfectly aligned. And when you're perfectly aligned, your constitutional nature is happy. You're happy all the time. Sindhu Kanya Devi Dasi, Hare Krishna. She gives this reflection. I love how in our Shastras there are beautiful descriptions of the Lord. When we love someone, we want to know about what they are doing, wearing, how they walk, talk, etc. And our Shastras make it so easy to love Krishna by giving us these vivid descriptions. I especially like the descriptions of Krishna's voice in Caitanya-caritāmrta Adi 341. The deep sound of his voice conquers the thundering of newly assembled clouds. Such a nice point. These are details that are lacking in many theological systems in the world. When it comes to describing the personality of Godhead, we get something amorphous, or we get avoidance. We can't talk about it. It's not possible to hear. But the revealed scriptures give us a clear understanding of what the voice sounds like, what the Lord's eyes, lotus feet, and so forth. And when we have that, then we can be Jayam Bunjas Janitya. We can worship, we can remember him. And that is of utmost importance, because how are you going to remember someone for whom you don't know any of the qualities? That's an excellent point. Kevala Bhakti, Hare Krishna. Thank you for checking in. Here's a question. Kevala Bhakti said, we were reading this morning from the CC that separation in the material world, while painful, is nothing like separation in the spiritual world, which is relishable. In fact, it is described that separation in the spiritual world is sometimes more relishable than actually even being with Krishna, period. Can you please elaborate? Yeah, this was discussed by Ramananda Roy and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You'll find it in the Ramananda Samvad, where he describes how this separation and union are the two aspects of the ongoing river of prema. They're like two banks on the river of prema, the separation and the meeting. And there's always a tension between the two, that when they're together, they're thinking, when am I going to be separated? And when they're separated, then when are we going to be together? And so the separation is described that it's like poison, like the bite of a serpent with poison. It's so severely painful when you're bitten by the serpent, and it simultaneously nectar is being poured on your head at the same time. And we have maybe some experience in this world when we feel separation from a loved one that has departed, and then we feel that voidness in the world. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Shunyayatam Jagat Sarvam, the whole world feels void. I'm missing Krishna. And so much, the whole world looks like nothing. There's nothing here I like anymore because this person is gone. So in that feeling of separation, there's paradoxically the greatest kind of enjoyment, because it's on the spiritual platform. It's the most deeply emotional, moving state, but it's spiritual. And therefore it's like nectar being poured on one's head at the same time that one is feeling this open wound of separation. So this is the teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it started with the seed of Madhavendra Puri. When Madhavendra Puri was leaving the world, he was saying over and over again, "Oh, my Lord of Mathura, I never attained you. I'm so far away." And this is noted by Kaviraj Goswami as the place where this mood of Vipralamba first appeared. And then Mahaprabhu demonstrated, he manifested it. And he would sit in the Gambhira and he hear from Surat Damodar Ramananda Roy over and over again the songs of the great acharyas who talked about Vipralamba. And again, he'd feel this separation, so much so that the Gambhira, although it was locked, somehow or other Mahaprabhu would get out from the locked room, not by unlocking it, but somehow or other he'd get out. And he'd wander in this mood of separation. Once he fell into the ocean and drifted for miles and miles until the devotees found him. And other times when he couldn't get out, he'd rub his beautiful lotus face on the stone walls. And he was feeling this intensity of separation. So this is the primary emotion we find in Vrindavan. Lord Krishna augmented this by apparently leaving Vrindavan to go off and kill demons and settle up the score, protect everybody from these demons. But he was always manifested there in his bhava form. But there was this apparent dichotomy because the devotees in Vrindavan felt this separation. And Prabhupada points this out in the Nectar of Devotion, that there's a way in which this apparent great ocean of tribulation that washes over the residents of Vrindavan after Krishna leaves is actually the highest happiness. It's paradoxical. So then Akshay and Kautukarnava, I have this question. Who are the white and red incarnations in Satya Yuga and Treta Yuga respectively? I have heard Varahadev as white incarnation. In Satya, we are not sure about reddish incarnation, Treta. There's some description there about the Lord appearing in as Varaha in different yugas in different colors, white and red. Shruti Priya Devi Dasi, when we think of anything separate from Krishna, then Maya catches us trying to entangle us in material energy. That's why we should be very scared of thinking anything other than Krishna. That's a good attitude, yes. And she also gives a power phrase, use the senses to please the master of the senses, Rishikesh. So this is from the verse, Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tatpratena Nirmalam, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchite. Everyone should memorize that verse if you haven't already. It's very important. Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tatpratena Nirmalam, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchite. This is the definition of devotional service when you you use your senses in the service of the master of the senses. And by doing so, then your senses become purified of upadis. The upadi is described by Srila Jiva Goswami as if you take a crystal, which is clear, and then next to it you place a red flower like a rose. And then the crystal will appear to be red. However, crystal's not red. So similarly, we're pure spiritual souls. And when we come in contact with material nature and identify with it, then we take on various colors. Parabhavastava bodha jato. This is Rishabhadev describes how we become colored by the fruit of activities, means the desire for fruit of activity in the material world. And therefore we connect with the material energy. And it appears that we're man, woman, child, adult, cat, dog, snake, a mosquito. The soul is actually always the same. It's eternally the same, but it goes through these upadis by identifying with the material nature again and again. And so, sarvopadi vanir muktam tatpratvena nirmalam, by engaging your senses in the service of the master of the senses, Rishikesh, you'll become freed from those upadis. And you'll realize that actually what my nature is a part and parcel of Krishna, and my eternal occupation is to engage in his service. So there are activities to engage in devotional service. We should use our senses in those. So going to Mangalarti, seeing the deity, taking Charnamrita, bowing down before the deity, and then chanting and dancing before the deities, clapping one's hands before the deity, bringing a flower to offer to the deity, and then smelling the flower after you've offered to the deity, cooking for the deity, going on Sankirtan to distribute the Lord's books, to doing management, keeping the bank accounts for the Lord, and making sure that they're transparent and all tightened up. These are all using our senses in the service of Hrishikesh. And if you do that, as you do that, your senses become purified. Then we have what is the reason? Did I miss one? What is the reason? What is the reason that Narada Muni chanted Narayan Narayan instead of Mahamantra? Narada Muni chanted Narayan Narayan. Where? Narada Muni did? I'm not sure of the context.
In popular culture, it is shown that Narada is always chanting Narayan Narayan like this.
Well, he's a Vaikuntha devotee. His mood is to worship Narayan. He that's his sthāyi bhav, that he has this way of worshiping the Lord in awe and reverence. So his place, his Ishtadev is Narayan. That's why he chants Narayan Narayan. Bhakta Rohit, paraphrase, let's not stop at sanitizing our hands alone. Let's sanitize our hearts with Harinam Sankirtan. Shamalangi, question. Do we know the names indicated in Caitanya-caritāmrta which say the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya have two divisions, the early pastimes Adi Lila and the later pastimes Shesha Lila? He has 4 names in each of these 2 Leelas. Not right off the top of my head, we'd have to, I mean, we do know that he was named Nimai and Gaurahari, and there are various names when he's in his younger years, and then Sri Krishna Chaitanya after he took sannyas and so forth. But I don't know the 4 and 4. We'll have to look it up. That's your shukadai, your homework, Shamalangi, to research and find out. Okay? All right, let's see if there's any other questions from the Zoom room.
Maharaj, can I ask a follow-up question, please? Hare Krishna.
Yes, you may.
So this is about that point where you mentioned that anything in that shloka, you mentioned that anything you see separate from Krishna actually is a very low, lower consciousness, or it is the cause of all anxiety, right? I'm just paraphrasing. So I'm guessing this kind of understanding is for the Uttamadhikari, or is there some way for beginners like me to actually connect to this? Because obviously there are the do's and don'ts, and there are the forbidden things, and we should not end up imitating this consciousness. So how do we understand this mood that everything, that nothing is separate from Krishna, and at the same time there are yama niyama rules which we have to adhere to?
Just read Bhagavad-gita. In the Gita, Krishna says, of lights, I am the radiant sun. I'm also the moon. He says, I'm the taste in water. And he said, Bijamam sarvabhutanam, that I'm the seed of all existences. So in this section of the Bhagavatam, in the 7th chapter, you'll notice Krishna says, Apana samsutim goranyanama vivishukha. Oh no, he gives various ways in which you can see him in everyday things of the world. So he mentions punyo ganda prativyam cha tejas chasmi vibhavaso jivanam sarvabhuteshu tapas chasmi tapasvishu. So he says the smell of the earth. You know that smell you get when it first rains after a long time? Isn't that, there's nothing like it, right? It's so fresh and you think new life. I love that, especially in California now because it's so drought-ridden nowadays. But when the rain comes, you hear that pitter-patter, and then all of a sudden you look out and then you open the door and the scent comes in, the fresh rain. It just hit the ground and the smell of the earth. Punyo ganda. Punyo ganda. You get the smell of the earth. Krishna said, that's me. And so you go, oh, that smells so good. What is that? It's Krishna. Punyo ganda prativyam cha tejas chasmi vibhava. So you notice in fire and any light, the luminosity is Krishna. Jivanam sarvabhuteshu, I'm the life of all that lives. Any place where you see life, like in an earthworm. I'm fascinated by earthworms. I watch them and I think, how, where do they get their intelligence from? They're just a little tube. How big can their brain be? And there they figure out how to go from one place to the next and find a little place to dig down in the earth. And I guess they eat dirt all day long. Or whatever they do, they have a little earthworm society. They manage to pack a lunch, go to work, get insurance, and do all their earthworm jobs. And, what's the life in there? Krishna's the life. Jivanam sarvabhuteshu, for all living entities. Any place you see life, life means impetus to live. A little spider you see, And, you know, I see these ants out here. I have this pulverized granite I put down for the pathways around here. And then they dig down into that. They have a little city down there. And they have conventions going on. They have little political parties. They have, you know, I don't know, used cars, new cars, whatever they got. That they have a whole thing going on down there. And when I'm chanting my japa out there, I just see them moving around. There's life there. What is that life? The Paramatma's there, the Jiva's there, life's going on. Otherwise, if they were dead stones, they just sit there. And then if I came back 3 weeks later, the stone is still sitting there, but not the ants. So Krishna says, no, see me in this. See me in these simple things. Bijamam sarvabhutanam, vidiparta sanatanam. See me in the seeds. See me in the ocean. Everywhere, the sound in ether. Shabda ke parusham nishu. Any sound you hear, that's Krishna. It's coming from Krishna. So just take those parts of the Bhagavad-gita, and then when you hear that, go, oh, Krishna, that's Krishna. And then also, whenever any danger comes up, does any ever danger come up in your life? Yes? Vrinda's saying yes.
Pandemic.
So danger comes up all the time. So when danger comes up, apana samsutim goranyanama vivishogrenan tata sadyo vimucheta yabhibheti swayama. Do like Damodar Vamsidhari. Anything happens, like once we were sitting in the temple room and the bulletin board came unscrewed and it started to fall. You could see it was going to be dangerous. It was falling off the wall in slow motion. And he immediately yelled, hey, Jagannath, oh, Jagannath. So Bhagavatam says, you know, in danger, call out for Krishna. Oh, Jagannath, oh, Krishna. Just use every opportunity. In danger, call for Krishna. You see the ocean, say, oh, Krishna. Krishna says of bodies of water, I'm the ocean. I mean, the ocean, it's awesome. When I drive over to see Satyadev Prabhu, I go over the hill. And as soon as I come up to the top of the 92, I look out, there's the ocean. And there's nothing like it anywhere. That's Krishna. When you say, what's Krishna? He's like, you'll know it when you see it. There's nothing else like it, that feeling. How can you explain the ocean? It's expansive, awesome. You can't fathom it. You don't even know what's in it. Anything could be in there. And so, you know, that's Krishna. So everywhere you go, everything you see, the spices, those flavor, that comes from Krishna. That's all Krishna. And Prabhupada says this one verse, he actually spoke on this verse, Rasoham Apsakonteya, on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day. And he said, this is the way to become Krishna conscious. Every time you drink water, that's Krishna. And he said, okay, you don't like water? Let's just say you're an alcoholic and you drink wine all day. He said, when you sip wine, then you think this taste is Krishna. He said, even then you'll become Krishna conscious. So there's no difficulty because actually it's true. Krishna is everything. And the energy and the energetic are the same. Esha desha sitasya agnir joshna vistarani yata parasya brahmana shaktis tatedam akilam jagat. The Vishnu Purana, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted this. He said, the Supreme is like the sun, which expands its energy everywhere, and that the energy and the energetic are one. So if you see the energies and you understand they come from an energetic source and the qualities we see in them are the same as the place they come from, there's no separation actually, then you'll always be connected to Krishna. In Hawaii, the devotees, Prabhupada said, you could go swim in the ocean. So it's very heavenly, or it used to be in Hawaii, still in many places. But you go there, and then the devotees would go and they'd swim in the ocean, and they were thinking, this is too nice. We're in Maya. So they went back and told Prabhupada, but Prabhupada, you said swim in the ocean, but we feel like we're in Maya. Prabhupada said, how can you be in Maya? He said, Krishna says he's the light of the sun and moon. He said, Krishna's the ocean. How are you getting in Maya? If you just see, that's Krishna. So remember Krishna always, and if you have a hard time remembering him, then Prabhupada says, then just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because the advice that Krishna gave to Arjuna, he gives this advice in the 8th chapter of the Gita, because he said, Arjuna, it's really important to remember me, especially at the time of death. He said, so the way to do that is to practice during this lifetime remembering me. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, you practice, you work, you do what you have to do, but at the same time you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then without a doubt, you'll be able to always remember Krishna. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hey, Devavrata, where are you?
I'm in Cabela shopping for a camping stove for our traveling Sankirtan van.
Where's that?
Nebraska.
Go Huskers. Fantastic.
I just wanted to add something from this week that I was thinking about when you were just speaking about all those things. It's getting really cold here, so we have our big buddy heater in the van. And when it comes out every morning, I notice we all gather around it like Mangalarchik for the deity. And I was just thinking, Krishna's the heat and fire. He's keeping us all so warm. And so I was just appreciating, what you're speaking about and just my experience this week. Thank you so much. So nice to
that
see
reminds
you.
me at this time in Govardhan, or a little later, it's still warm, probably really warm. But usually when it gets on in the season, then I see it when we're doing our parikrama and going around that people come out, they burn little fires. They get a little fire going. They're all standing around. Even the dogs come over and, stand next to the fire and try to get warm. And yes, that's a time to remember Krishna. He's the heat and fire. And he's the fire of digestion. That's another one you can remember always, that Krishna is the fire of digestion in our stomach. Yeah. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
For my homework, I got a help from a friend.
Shamalangi, we can barely hear you.
Can you hear now?
Kind of.
Okay. So Shamarupa Prabhu just messaged me. He helped. So text 49. I asked a question about the 4 names. So he just
Avantika, I can't hear your mom. You better go fix it.
Okay, give me 1 second.
okay.
In the meantime, Shruti Priya says, I had discussed an earthworm in high school. Their nervous system heart is a ring that goes around the front of their tubular body. Amazing.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
While we're waiting for
Oh, wait a minute. Shamalangi said she made it there. And then we'll go. You'll go next. Okay.
So Maharaj, actually I asked that question about the 4 names, and Shamarupa Prabhu just messaged me saying that the next text number 49, it has that Suvarna Varna Hemango verse. So those are the 8 names, as the 4 and 4.
Oh, right. That's true. Okay. Thank you very much. Suvarna Varna Hemango Varnangash Chanjanangadi Sanyasya Krishnama Shanto Nishta Shanti Parayana. So it has 4 and 4. So they're Suvarna Varna Hemango. So read them off. What are the 4 and 4? Shamalangi does fast research. She's one of the fastest researchers we have in our movement.
Madhya 349.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Yeah, so first is Suvarna Varno, that is the first name, having the color of gold. Next is Hemangaha, whose body was like molten gold. And then Varangaha, having the most beautiful body. Fourth is Chandanangadi, whose body was smeared with sandalwood. Then fifth is Sannyasakrit, which is practicing the renounced order of life. Then is Shamaha, which is equipoised. Then seventh is Shantaha, peaceful. And last is Nishtha Shanti Parayanaha, which is devotion and of peace of the highest resort. So those are the 8 names.
Beautiful. Fantastic. So we'll have to start chanting that verse from now on in our bhajans. Suvarna Varna Hemango Sannyasak. Suvarna Varna Hemangos. Varnangas Chanjanangadi Sanyasya Krishna Shanto Nishta Shanti Parayana. It's from the Vishnu Sahasranam Stotram. Do you all chant that? The Vishnu Sahasranam Stotram?
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
You chant it every day?
No.
Sometimes.
Yes.
It takes a while, right?
Yeah, I memorized it, Guru Maharaj, actually. I don't know the meaning, but I memorized.
Yes, Smarana Matrena Janma Samsara Bandhanat Vimuchyate
Vimuchyate
Namastasmai
namastasmai
Vishnave
Vishnave Prabha
Vishnave
Vishnave
Namaha
Om Namo Vishnave
Samastabhutanam
Prabha Vishnave
Namaha Samastabhutanam Atibhuthari Bhubrite Aneka Rupa Rupaya Vishnave Prabha Vishnave Om Vishnam Vishnu Vishatkaro Bhuta Bhavya
Bhagavad Prabhu Bhuta Krishna Bhutbhavo
Bhutatma
Bhutatma Bhuta
Bhutapavanaha
Pavanaha
Bhutatma
Bhutatma
Paramatma
Paramatma Cha
Bhutanam.
Bhutanam Paramagatihi Avyaya Purusat Saksho Kshetragno Ksharye Cha.
Keep going. Now I can hear whoever's from South India is chiming in now. Very good. Excellent. How beautiful that is. And how beautiful that it has the names of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in it. It's so nice. So if you chant the Vishnu Sahasranam, if you chant the names of Rama, it's worth chanting the names of Lord Vishnu 1,000 times. If you chant one Krishna, 3 Ramas, 1 Krishna. So don't worry, if you're chanting Hare Krishna, you're covered. Hare Krishna. All right. Credit goes to Shamarupa. Just see, all roads lead back to Shamarupa. Credit goes to Shamarupa for telling me about the verse. Way to go, Shamarupa Prabhu. Very good. That's a really nice meditation and something we're taking away from this meeting today. We all knew that verse anyway, but now we remember the 4 and 4, and we can celebrate that verse at all our meetings, and we'll chant that verse with great delight, remembering these 4 names of Lord Chaitanya in youth, and then in his later pastimes. Right, Shamalangi? And you and Shamarupa are going to get credit every time. You'll get residual spiritual benefits will go in your bank account every time we sing it.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Gaur Premanande Haribol. So now we have the great opportunity to worship our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, and we'll put our heart and soul into singing these verses and remembering them. All our power comes from worshiping the Acharya, Acharyopasanam. Our process is to worship the Acharya, and by worshiping the Acharya and the Acharyas, that the whole line of Acharyas, that there's a flow of bhakti shakti that comes through. So we worship by singing and remembering how this is our life and soul, to worship Srila Prabhupada and also to do the work, the service that he gave us to do to spread the Sankirtan movement. And as we do that, then no matter what our previous qualification may or may not have been, we become qualified by hanging on to the great acharyas. And for us, Srila Prabhupada is the topmost. Hare Krishna. Namasheshtam manamapi shachiputram atra swarupam Shri Rupam tasya grajam urupurim madhurim koshtavatim Radha kundam girivaramoho radhika madhavasham Prapto yasya pratitikipaya Shri Gurum tam natosmi Hey Guru Jnana Dina Bandho Swananda Data Karunaika Sindho Vrindavana Sinahita Vata Prasida Radha Pranaya Prajara Hey Dina Bandho Karunaika Sindho Kuru Prasadam Maimanda Mudhe Laksha Paradhe Bahupapa Pada Padmes to Matishta Krishna. I bow down to the beautiful lotus feet of my spiritual master, by whose causeless mercy I have obtained the supreme holy name, the divine mantra, the service of the son of Shachi Mata, the association of Srila Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami and his older brother, Sanatan Goswami, the supreme abode of Mathura, the blissful abode of Vrindavan, the divine Radhakunda and Govardhan Hill, and the desire within my heart for the loving service of Shri Radhika and Madhava in Vrindavan. O spiritual master, O giver of divine wisdom, O friend of the fallen, you are the giver of your own bliss, and you are the only ocean of mercy. Although dwelling in Vrindavan, you have descended for the welfare of fallen souls like myself, and you are preaching the divine love of Radha for Krishna. Please be kind upon me. O friend of the lowly, O Gurudev, you are the only ocean of mercy. I am a dull fool and have committed hundreds of thousands of offenses. I have fallen into a dense myriad of sins. Therefore, grace me with your mercy so that my mind may be fixed on your lotus feet and on Sri Krishna. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can obtain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. Our only wish is to have our consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens our darkened eyes and fills our hearts with transcendental knowledge. He is our Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic permanent emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevalabha Gati Sadma Bola Bola Utsahan Bando Bui Savadana prasade pure sarva asha. Je prasade pure sarva asha. Chudan dilo je janme janme prabhu se. Yakyandre prakashita. Prema bhakti ja hoite abhidya vinasa jate. Ide gai jahara charita. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhama Janara Bandhu. Lokana lokera jivana. Ah Prabhu kora doya deha mure pada chaya. Ebe jas kushukti bhuvana. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrī Mate Bhaktivinoda Swaminati Namine. Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Rishakarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Shri Harinam Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Nitai Gauda Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Nitai Gauda Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. And now, Molly, we've got 100,000 Bhagavad Gitas to distribute. 100,000 only. How many boxes is that? Somebody, mathematician, parts of mathematician, can figure it out. How many boxes is it to distribute 100,000 Bhagavad Gitas? Molly is on mute.
6,000.
6,000
So
only.
it's 4,000. It's 4,166.
Say it again.
4,166 cases of Bhagavad.
Only. That's all? My God. We're going for such a small number. Okay. So only 4,000 cases of Bhagavad Gitas. And how much space does that take up? How much square footage? All of you who are going through college, high school so fast, you're flying through. Give us some useful information from your geometry, calculus. How many square feet does that take up? We want to visualize it, all these cases. Would it fill up Srivas and Malini's house completely? Would they not be able to get in their house if 4,000 cases of Bhagavad Gitas? We
8,000
have,
square feet.
Sukeshri says, Vijay Damodar Prabhu, he's got a calculator in his head.
8,600.
8,000 what?
200 square feet.
8,200 square feet? Is that correct?
How many layers, Prabhu? One layer or how many layers?
You can stack it to the ceiling. As long as you have a place to sleep on top. And a little place in the kitchen to cook.
900 square feet.
900 square feet?
Assuming 10 feet height.
So is it going to fill Malini and Srivas Prabhu's house?
I don't know about the house. The heart is big. So
Well, that's real life. If you fill your house with cases of Bhagavad Gitas, you don't have any space until you distribute them all. This is life. This is the real life of the Sankirtan movement. Fill up with ammunition and take it out and distribute it every day, and eat book, sleep book. So we've got this task to distribute only 10,000 Bhagavad Gitas. And it's only 4,000 cases altogether. It only fills up one house. And if we all work together, let's see, 300 people. How many people in our Sankirtan party average?
Prabhu, average about 25 devotees on a weekend basis.
But overall, as far as our community goes, of those who are participating.
360, at least 367, Prabhu.
Okay, 367. And how many how many cases does each have to distribute to do 4,000 and how many ever it is?
12.
Only?
About 12 cases. Yes, Prabhu.
12 cases each for 65 devotees, only 12 cases each. Is that correct? Okay, so everyone should get 12 cases, put it in your house, put it in front of the refrigerator so nobody can open it until they're gone. Kids, you want to eat? You want a popsicle? You're going to have to distribute them. Part, what do you think of the idea as far as the strategy goes? Let's check in on Part. He's our future leader for the Sankirtan movement.
I think it's a very good idea.
He likes it. He likes it. That's what I like about you, Part. Okay, so everybody to think in terms of at least 12 cases each individual to take responsibility for. How many books is that total?
288 Bhagavad-gita.
That's ridiculously small. Okay, so everyone can think about that. How much Lakshmi are we talking? What kind of investment? If we front end load like Amway does, you can each one take the 12 cases and then you can go distribute them afterwards and realize a profit.
It's approximately $1,300, Prabhu.
Only? Okay. Okay, so $1,300 each. Get your piggy banks out. And each one take at least 12 cases and distribute for 365 devotees. Each person in the family has to take 12. Not per family, right, Malini?
Yes,
or is it 365 families or people?
People, Prabhu.
Vaisesika Prabhu,
Yes?
I recalled something the how you've been mentioning about this. When we were a kid, my father also, how you asked the family should, take certain numbers of cases. My father, I remember I was probably 12 or 13. He pledged something like he packed up his whole Maruti van. In India, they have this Maruti van. And he packed up the whole back of the Maruti van. And he took us like on the suburb of Ahmedabad in the small villages. And that was the parents' kids' time together. Go to the suburban and go distribute those Bhagavad-gita. We hated it as a kid, but now I'm so grateful because that made us street smart also. That is not afraid to approach. So I actually found this activity very much helpful even till today, that going out, meeting the people, and actually the joy that you receive was, first I didn't understand what my father was doing, but now I know what he was doing. So I just wanted to share that, how appreciating family activity that could be.
That is. I think that's a really good example of how to do this. And of course, now you do it all by the phone, mostly by phone, calling people up. And if you have relatives, you can spread out the responsibility. Let's say you're a family, and you've taken 12, 24, 36 cases. Then you call up your cousins. Let's say each person has 52 cousins. And then you call up and each one of them, you say, I want you to take at least, how many Gitas is that, Vijay Damodar, for each cousin?
Actually, I started dreaming about going in a Maruti, so I forgot my calculation.
Okay, that's all right. So think in terms of spreading out the responsibility to your whole family, extended family. Each one take a case, 2 cases, 12 cases, whatever you can, and get it apportioned as quickly as possible so that we can spread it out and we can do this 100,000 books as quickly as possible so that we can start moving forward in other ways as well. And it would be good to get it nailed down. Malini, you go ahead and make your announcements. I'd like to hear what you have to say, what you have to inspire us with.
Prabhu, there are multiple spots that devotees are actually going out today. Kautukarna Prabhu is going to Santa Cruz. And just now, SKP Prabhu called and he said he's going to Pinole. This is a place after Richmond. There is a rally for Trump rally, and he's going with his mask, and maybe one more devotee is going with him to distribute books. So those are the 2 themes. And tomorrow there is a team going to Moorwoods, a small group Haldara Rupa Prabhu is taking. And there might be other small spots with 1 or 2 devotees. But this, we are doing it very carefully with social distancing, mask and everything in place, Prabhu.
Okay. Be a little careful at the Trump rally because they don't wear masks. They're not into it. It's a political statement not to wear a mask. So everybody follow very careful protocols. Carefully follow the protocol. Don't get fatigued and think, oh, now it can be lax because it'd be so long because there's another spike happening now. And the virus is still a new virus that the immune systems of people on the planet aren't used to. It hasn't been dealt with yet, so the antibodies aren't developed, and anything can happen. It's not just because, somebody else got over it, like the president supposedly got over it, then it's safe. You have to be really careful. Don't touch your face, wash your hands regularly, and keep the mask program going and be really careful, okay?
Okay. There's also one case, Kameshwari and Advaita, they try to distribute a Bhagavad-gita case on the phone. And Kameshwari, you want to share that?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. So we were trying to call different shops and retirement homes and things like that, but it so far hasn't worked out. But then I approached one of my friends and I told my son is volunteering, and we did a presentation. He accepted one case of Bhagavad Gita, and Advait wants to share how he did that. You want to share?
Yes, sure. So I just started off by talking about the importance of the Bhagavad Gita, and then what inspires me. Like, we talked about the Give a Gita campaign and how, till December 25th, we're trying to give out 2 million Bhagavad Gitas worldwide. So it kind of puts the goal in perspective, what we're trying to achieve with the meeting. And then we talked about, how he can sponsor a case, how he can take it for himself, or he can just sponsor one full case. And, when we talked about how he could give it to his friends, I think he liked the idea, since he was leaving one job and going to another. So he thought it'd be a nice giveaway gift. So,
Wait, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And this is the shot heard around the world. As usual, you're leading the way by practical example. That little video of you selling a set of Bhagavatams over Zoom went viral all over the world, and that's what inspired people in many different countries. And this, the fact that you took action and you came up with this because Krishna inspired you from within the heart to give these special instructions to this person, and it got them to take a set or a full case of Gitas. This is going to inspire all of us. I want to ask you, what you think of the idea of telling, especially Indian people, that they can take these cases and give them as the individual Gitas as gifts for Diwali.
I think that sounds like a brilliant idea. I mean, the only thing might be that a lot of Indians already have the Bhagavad Gita, but I think it would make a great gift for Diwali. I like it.
Malini, what do you think of that idea?
Prabhu, yes, Prabhu, we already have a flyer for that, and we have distributing widely. And we are still calling people and asking if they want to do that. And we yet to hear responses for that, Prabhu.
Okay. What else, Malini?
Prabhu, one more thing that is working very well is that Kautukarna Prabhu and some of us, actually, we were calling the restaurants, vegan restaurants in this area, and we are asking them if they can take these books, because now it is a stressful time and everybody is not coming to restaurants, but they're ordering a takeout food. And Kautukarna Prabhu placed books in, there is a restaurant called Merit. It has very good reviews, and they said that they will keep the books there. And they asked us to put a donation box with, and we're going to put a flyer as well, where they can use a QR code to go ahead and do a payment, either with their Venmo or with PayPal or something like that. And there's a donation box also where they can put in some money there. And the restaurant owner is very, very favorable. And they accepted 24 Trimurti sets so far, Prabhu, and they will give us the Lakshmi back.
Bravo. One idea I had in that is if you could get a testimonial and some pictures from Jamuna, from her restaurant, as she has done extensive distribution through takeout.
Yes,
she could, she's a well-established business person who's famous. And if she we could do a little thing with her saying, I recommend this for restaurant owners. It's really a nice thing to do for community, even a little video or something. That could be powerful too for us to get other restaurateurs in.
Yes, Prabhu.
Everyone, please tax your brains for ways in which to make other people distributors. Find locations where they can be instrumental and they can take a case, 2 cases, 20 cases, and from there they can be an outpost for Lord Chaitanya's distribution. If you find the right kind of reason for them to do it, then they'll be able to take it.
Maharaj,
yes, Vijay Damodar Prabhu.
So, Maharaj, you mentioned about us sending it out through extended family and our families in India. So how do we arrange sending them Bhagavad-gita from?
India, no scope right now. It's very difficult for the Bhagavad-gita transcontinental distribution. So just focus on 7 degrees of separation or 6 degrees, whatever it is, and getting them out in that way, rather than we don't have a NAFTA agreement with India yet.
Okay.
We're working on it. Okay.
So we look at the extended family as Vasudev Kutum in US.
Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Prabhu, and Sukeshwari and her team is looking into that Bhagavad Gita contest. And we got all the information from Radhesham Prabhu. And we are actually, they're trying very hard there are multiple ideas that they're working on. And we will have something available at least by this week or next week where we can roll out this contest within North America.
That'll be huge. It's going to be huge. Thank you for doing that. Excellent.
That's all for now, Prabhuji.
Okay. Now we have Jai Madhava Prabhu to talk about Bhakti community, because we need to be inculcated that these two things go together. Book distribution and Bhakti community are one. And every time we do an event, every time we distribute a book, there needs to be a next thing. And moving people from getting the book, meeting, hearing a Harinam into the next category where they can actually start practicing is our holistic way of presenting Krishna consciousness. So please go ahead, Jai Madhava.
I just want to add one more thing, Prabhu. In
Yes.
all the books that we are giving out to restaurants in every place, we are putting the Bhakti community card inside the book. So everybody
Fantastic.
gets that. Thank
Excellent. Jai.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mali Mataji and the team for putting the Bhakti community cards in the book. That is an awesome news. What I'll do is I'll quickly, for those who are new to Bhakti community, I'll quickly give an overview and then talk about some of the things which have happened last week in Bhakti community. So I'll share my screen. So as you know, Bhakti community is an online community for newcomers, especially is those who are coming new to Bhakti or ISKCON. And we have a series of program which happens throughout the week, right from Monday all the way to Sunday at Bhakti community. So last week in Bhakti On, we discussed are there benefits to forest fire? And previous week discussed how to transform matter into spirit. So those are some of the topics which are discussed in Bhakti On. And Naveen Nirit Prabhu discussed compassion in Bhakti wisdom. And in Sadhana On, Vaisesika Prabhuji discussed attaining completeness by getting complete knowledge of the whole. And then in spiritual fitness, Vaisesika Prabhuji discussed how to cultivate bhakti garden. So you are a gardener, so you have all the tools that you need, and also how the seed, the words are the seeds which you plant, and then how it grows and determines your character and destiny. So those are some of the topics discussed within the garden series in spiritual fitness. We also have Ananda Vrindavan Mataji, who in Women's Circle is going through Bhagavad-gita. So we discussed chapter 1, observing the armies. And then our own Madhuripura Prabhu came on mantra music, and we had wonderful kirtan on mantra music, which was well received. So as you can see, it's a very variety of programs catering to very different audiences, primarily newcomers. So which we have received very positive feedback. People who are coming in, they are really thanking for putting this community together. So now how you can share the Bhakti community. So as and when you give a book or you come in contact with any newcomer, go to bhakticommunity.com/invite newcomers. So this is the link. When you go, you will see that it has sample emails that you can just copy paste and send with minor tweaks. Also sample WhatsApp messages. So if you are wanting to send a message to your family and friends, just you can copy paste the shorter message as well. I want to thank Anshu Prabhu. Last week he sent out, he met with Rima, and he gave a Persian book to her, and he also forwarded the Bhakti community invite to Rima. So thank you, Anshu Prabhu, for doing that. So in addition, as I mentioned, we have a very limited time offer of Discover program. So bhakticommunity.com/discover, where people can enroll and avail Discover Bhakti community for 3 months without providing any as a free trial. So that's on invitation. Next, I'll quickly go through the cards. So as Malini Mataji mentioned, thanks to Kautukarna Prabhu, he has been taking these cards, small cards, and keeping them within the books. I had given him around 150 cards, I believe. They are already out. So he has requested for more replenishments, which I'll be giving today, around 300 cards. So thank you, Kautukarna Prabhu, for doing that. He also gave an excellent suggestion of maybe having Bhakti community bookmarks. So instead of cards, if you can give bookmarks in the book, which we can be given. So that's something we are working on, trying to see how that can be achieved. And potentially we will add a QR code also in the bookmark, so that if somebody wants to make a donation, that can be used. So in case you are interested in Bhakti community cards, please send an email to hi@bhakticommunity.com, and we'll be more than happy to share it with you. In addition to this, we also have our own Facebook page for Bhakti community, facebook.com/Bhakti community. So here every week from all these programs, we create the youth team creates small gems, 2-3 minute clips, which is then posted, which you can share with your friends and families. If you have not already done so, please visit Bhakti community Facebook page and like it, follow it. As well as this week we had Niharika, who created Are There Benefits to a Forest Fire video. It's a very nice video posted by Niharika. Please do like it and share it with your friends and families. And last but not least, we do have several service opportunities, those who are interested, including welcoming guests, making them comfortable, guiding them. Partner servant, we do have Siddhartha Prabhu and Rasa Mataji, who are helping to bring on ISKCON Sydney, ISKCON Alachua, ISKCON San Diego, as well as ISKCON Chicago. We are going to talk to them tomorrow. So we have more and more partners coming forward, and we would need partner servants to help them on board and help them continue to grow. Social media marketing, another avenue which we need help to propagate this far and wide. Video editing, the youth team is doing a fantastic job, but we need more of those. Social media management as well as website management. So these are the opportunities available. If you are interested, or if anyone you know might be interested, please do ask them to contact hi@bhakticommunity.com, and we'll be more than happy to walk through them in detail. So those are some of the quick updates I wanted to share for Bhakti community today. Anything would like to add?
I'd like to add that the Bhakti community has a robust infrastructure that took years to develop. And now when leaders in ISKCON are seeing a demonstration of Bhakti community, I've yet to find one who doesn't want to have their whole community sign on to it. Recently, I attended a meeting of the GBCs and leaders of North America, and I asked one of them who had just seen Jayamata Prabhu's presentation of Bhakti community, which he did for the San Diego leaders, what she thought of it. And I had no idea what she would say, but she was effusive in saying how professionally presented it was, and also how vital and important it is. And mark my words, you can write it in your book, but this is going to spread to all of the centers around North America. It will be in common usage everywhere, and will become one of the mainstream programs in ISKCON. Therefore, the reason I bring this up is the more we can help to pioneer it and explore it and flesh it out from ISV, which is one of the missions we have here, is to use our little tiny community here as a laboratory so that we can export ideas to the world. The more we can get it to work and really get boiling, the more it'll spread everywhere, and it's the need of the day to have this complete follow-up and a way to make devotees even from afar. So put your heart and soul into it, and the more variety we get in, great speakers, and the more participation we have from wide base of people from all over the world, it is filling up. But we should consider this the future and something really important. Then the more we'll be able to expand it, and not just in North America, but it'll go all over the world. Thank you. Thank you, Jayamata Prabhu and Pavani Bhakti Anshu Anushri, for your dedication to the program. You're running it like a startup here in ISKCON, here in Silicon Valley. And to all those who are helping, thank you. Hare Krishna. Sharira Dvijaja Jodendriya Taheka Jibe Pele Vishaya Shagore Dharma Jedivayati Loba Moisu Durmati Taki Jeta Katita Shanshare Krishna Boro Doyamo Gori Bade Jihajay Shaprashad Nadi Loba Shayanamrita Pao Radha Krishna Premidako Śrī Caitanya-Nita Paire Karina Shanti Pure Prabhu Advaitira Ghare Dui Prabhu Bojani Bosila Shakori Ashwatana Prabhu Bole Krishna Ashwadilo Heno Shakashwadane Krishna Prema Oise Mane She Preme Koro Ashwada Jada Buddhi Parihari Rasada Bojana Hari Hari Bolo Sarvaja Hari Hari Bolo Sarvaja Ma Prashade Govinde Namar Brahmani Vaishnave Salpa punyavatam rajan vishwaso navajayate prasade sarvatukanam hanirasyo pajayate prasana tetaso yashu buddhi paryavatishtate vasulankara chartita uchishta bojino dasas tavamayam jaimahi. Barhabhidam natavaravapu karnayo karnikaram bibradvasa kanaka kapisham vaijayantim chamalam randram venur atarasudaya purnayan gopa vrindar vrindaranyam swapadaramaram ravishad gita kirti tavakatamritam tapta jivanam kavibiriditam kalmashapaham Shavana Mangalam Srimanatatam Bhuvi Grananti Buridajana Krishno Kirtana Gananartana Kala Patojani Brajita Tavaliham Chakra Madhuba Shreni Viharaspadam Karnanandikaladvani Vahatu Me Jiva Maru Prangane Śrī Caitanya-Doyani Bhetavalusa Lila Sudaswaduni Helondu Nitakeraya Vishadaya Pronila Damodaya Shamyaschastra Vivadaya Rasadaya Chita Piton Madaya Bhaktivinodaya samataya madhurya mardyadaya Śrī Caitanya-daya nidhetavadaya bhuyadamandodaya Śrī Caitanya-daya nidhetavadaya Do we have one more verse? Is that verse in there? Shri Vishnu Shavane Parikshita Bhavad Vaisesika Kirtane Prahlada Smarane Dadangri Bhajane Lakshmi Pritupujane Akrurastva Vibandane Kapipatir Daseta Sakyarjuna Sarvaswadmani Vedane Balirabu Krishna Tiresham Pada Sarvaswadmani Vedane Balirabu Krishna Tiresham Pada Gaur Premanande Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo 12 cases only each, 365 devotees, 52 cousins, everybody take Gitas, all cases go out the door as fast as possible. Thank you very much, everybody, and thanks to Bhakti community for giving us a follow-through to bring people to the highest levels of Krishna consciousness, to build an army unprecedented in the history of the world of devotees distributing Krishna consciousness, so the pipeline goes 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times over. Thank you very much. Vanchakalpadrivascha kripasindabhevacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Can everyone unmute and say Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Premanande Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. Hare Bol.